Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone around the world, whoever is listening to today. Welcome to Oceanic Journeys, a very prestigious conference organized by University of Hawaii, FPU, USA. Um, First of all, allow me to express my deepest gratitude towards the organizing committee. I'm really happy that they have given me this honor and this opportunity to present my research at such a prestigious conference. And I'm really honored to be receiving this Emerging Scholar Award. Without any further ado, allow me to share my research with all of you. Let me share my screen. Yeah, so the topic of my research is decolonizing museum narratives, counter histories, memory politics, and challenging Eurocentrism at Lahore Museum. Now, the Great Exhibition of 1851 in London, held at the Crystal Palace, marked a pivotal moment in the development of cultural memory through imperialism, especially concerning the Indian subcontinent. Organized by John Fox Royal and inaugurated by Queen Victoria, it drew over 6 million visitors and showcased colonial possessions, including India, under the guise of imperial displays. Now, these displays distorted cultural memory by portraying Indian culture as exotic, inferior, and subordinate, aligning with Britain's colonial agenda. Although central to the exhibition, India was depicted as the other and conquered with no representation by its own people. Its culture is instead curated by British officials. The structure of the exhibition, placing Indian artifacts at the center, surrounded by British displays, symbolized Britain's dominance and control. The Kohinoor diamond, gifted to Queen Victoria, epitomized this power dynamic. Now, this exhibition exemplified Edward Said's concept of Orientalism, shaping Western self-identity by contrasting it with imagined inferior East. The representation contributed to a narrative where Britain was seen as civilized and superior, while colonized cultures were seen as backward. The Lahore Museum, established shortly after in 1856, reflects this colonial legacy. Its origins are tied to the British efforts to institutionalize their ideological control through museums, which Leah Huff describes as tools of Western imperial expansion and cultural erasure. The study calls for a decolonial approach to museum narratives, one that centers marginalized voices, redefines representations, and confronts historical amnesia. Now, the central terms of this research are two: memory and amnesia. Memory and amnesia have always been the subject of literature. Many literary critics have theorized these ideas, and various writers have used these ideas as central themes in their writings like novels. The memory politics refers to the deliberate and strategic shaping of collective memory to serve certain political, social, or cultural agendas. Memory politics, as viewed through the lens of South Asian critics, delves into the intricate ways in which historical events, narratives, and identities are constructed, contested, and manipulated within the region. Gayatri Chakravarti Spivak's engagement with subaltern perspectives and memory politics in Can the Subaltern Speak offers a critical examination of marginalized voices in the region. Her work emphasizes how the memory of subaltern communities is often overshadowed or erased within dominant narratives. By amplifying these voices, Spivak's approach highlights the power dynamics at play in memory politics, demonstrating the importance of addressing historical silences. The politics of amnesia, on the other hand, refers to the deliberate and strategic act of forgetting, erasing, or suppressing certain historical events, memories, or narratives within a society. By selectively choosing what to remember or forget, Those in position of authority or influence can shape public perceptions, control narratives, and influence the understanding of history. This practice can lead to the distortion of historical records, the erosion of marginalized voices, and the suppression of alternative perspectives, which is then explored in literature as a powerful theme to explore the dynamics of memory and forgetting. Kamla Shamsi's novel, Cartography, explores the politics of amnesia in Karachi, Pakistan, focusing on the manipulation of memory for political and ideological agendas. The novel highlights the complex interplay between personal memory and societal amnesia as characters attempt to forget or selectively remember events like the forgetting of the 71 to fit their narratives of identity and belonging, with Kareem, a protagonist, is stressed on the learning to forget process, illustrating how historical events can be erased or distorted to serve the interests of those in power. The novel serves as a microcosm of larger socio-political forces, highlighting how memory can be used for control, identity formation, and official narrative construction. Now, the paper postulate or this research postulates that the establishment of Lahore Museum by the British was a strategic endeavor aimed at exerting control over the cultural and historical narrative through the manipulation of collective memory via artifacts across temporal dimensions, the past, the present, and the future. Today's challenge for museums is to decolonize or democratize them to become inclusive sources of countries' varied history and culture. Museum practitioners who are dealing with colonial objects aim to change how these are presented from the decolonial perspectives. The research objective to decolonize Lahore Museum narratives and provide counter-narratives by challenging Eurocentric perspectives will be observed and researched in the context of Lahore Museum. The research questions that intrigue this research are surrounded and researched through a decolonial lens, which constitutes as how is Lahore Museum narrating our past for the present and future, and how does Lahore Museum offer a counter-history or counter-narrative to challenge Eurocentric perspective? Now, this study focuses on the Lahore Museum as a site for examining how museum narratives are shaped by colonial legacies and how they can be reimagined through a decolonial lens. The scope is limited to analyzing the display practices, curatorial choices, institutional discourse, and public engagement strategies employed by the museum to either reinforce or challenge Eurocentric representation of the cultural history. The research covers the historical evolution of the Lahore Museum since its colonial inception in 1856, the representation of indigenous culture, art, and history in its exhibitions, the museum's role in memory making and cultural identity within post-colonial Pakistani context. It uses qualitative methods, including site visits, interviews with museum officials and visitors, and analysis of archival materials and public programming. The use of digital and physical platforms in shaping or reshaping narratives, especially in the post-COVID era. Now, the study draws on decolonial theory, particularly the works of Frantz Fanon, Walter D. Mignolo, and Hannah Turner, to critique and assess the museum's role in challenging colonial epistemologies. The study adopts a decolonial perspective to examine the Lahore Museum within a post-colonial context, employing qualitative methods such as comparative discourse analysis and observation of museum-led initiatives like seminars and events that challenge Eurocentric narratives. With the rise of digital technology, especially during COVID, the research engages with both physical and digital sources, a term, phygital, coined by Yaxi Liu, to analyze and fact-check museum narratives. Grounded in the theoretical frameworks of Walter D. Mignolo and Frantz Fanon, the study critiques colonial legacies embedded in museum practices and knowledge production. Mignolo's concept of epistemic disobedience and Fanon's focus on psychological and cultural liberation provides a lens through which the museum's effort to reclaim indigenous representations are evaluated. Additionally, Hannah Turner's work on colonial cataloging practices underscores how documentation itself has reinforced power imbalances, calling for ethical and inclusive norms. Through this lens, the study assesses how the Lahore Museum is attempting to decenter Eurocentric knowledge systems and contribute to the broader decolonial project of reclaiming identity, representation, and historical agency. Now, the research enters in the analysis part. Under the title of Trophies of Empire, the politics of absence, memory erasure, and selective narration. Now, the Lahore Museum stands as a symbolic battleground of competing historical narratives, where colonial ideologies persist through curatorial choices and silences. Initially conceptualized by British colonial authorities, the museum functioned not as a neutral space of knowledge, but as an imperial project designed to validate colonialism through selective storytelling. Under the guise of civilizing the Third World, a term coined by Alfred Sauvage, the British rationalized their colonial ambitions by crafting a false historical consciousness, exemplified in the narratives promoted by figures like Macaulay. Now, Walter Benjamin's assertion that history is written by the victors is especially pertinent here. The museum emerges as a text authored by the colonizers, is imposing dominance over both the past and the present. European colonialism, as J. H. Bloom observes, was anchored in a fetishization of historical origins. The British obsession with archiving and cataloging antiquity underpins their establishment of institutions like the Lahore Museum. This obsession was not about honoring local heritage, but rather controlling the narrative, asserting epistemic authority, and erasing indigenous memory, as Milan Kundera notes in the Book of Laughter and Forgetting. The first step in liquidating a people is to erase its memory, destroy its books, its culture, its history. Then have somebody write new books, manufacture a new culture, invent a new history. Before long, that nation will begin to forget what it is and what it was. The world around that nation will forget even faster. Now, the Lahore Museum exemplifies how colonial legacies persist through strategic silences and curatorial omissions. Rooted in a British colonial obsession with historical control, the museum suppresses indigenous memory and omits colonial atrocities, particularly in its portrayal of imperial figures like Queen Victoria. This politics of absence sustains cultural amnesia and reinforces imperial narratives under the guise of heritage preservation. Literary critiques by Orwell and Foster mirror these dynamics, revealing the ideological mechanisms of colonial rule. Institutions like the museum were not neutral repositories, but tools of empire designed to inscribe British superiority while marginalizing local histories. As David Robinson and Shishi Thru argue, colonialism rebranded conquest as civilization, a narrative visibly imported in museum practices. Despite isolated resistance by figures like Bradlaugh or Hastings, the dominant curatorial ethos remains Eurocentric. The near erasure of Punjabi culture, now confined to a single glass case, symbolizes the enduring marginalization of local identity. Former galleries celebrating regional life have been displaced by displays that serve imperial narratives, contributing to museum-induced amnesia. Justifications of limited space cannot excuse the lack of meaningful representation for indigenous heritage. Furthermore, colonial museums often treated artifacts as trophies of conquest rather than colonial treasures. As Orwell's Shooting an Elephant suggests, such displays such as the Gandharan art displays were performative, reinforcing colonial authority, because the case of Gandharan art highlights how indigenous civilizations were reframed to validate imperial dominance. Today, the Lahore Museum continues to function not only as a space of memory but also as a powerful site of forgetting where colonial power structures are subtly upheld through curatorial choices. Now, the analysis enter the second part under the title of Reclaiming Memory, Post-Colonial Revolutionizing of Lahore Museum Narrative and the Oriental Gaze. The historical relationship between museums and colonialism is essential to understanding how Western institutions reframed the origins of museums to obscure their ideological underpinnings. By recasting ancient cabinets of curiosities into modern museums, the West effectively masked its imperial motives, embedding nationalism, colonialism, and Enlightenment ideas within museum culture. Scholars such as Elizabeth Rodini and Adam Gexey have exposed how the West's narrative of museum development actively conceals its extractive and ideological foundations, projecting universality while erasing the colonial violence that facilitated such collections. This research now shifts its focus to the Lahore Museum's evolving efforts to counter colonial amnesia and reclaim regional historical memory through decolonial practices. While post-colonial states have long shaped historical narrative and text, museums remain under-examined sites of memory productions. Scholars like Khan and Afzal highlight how elites have politicized history since 1947, but the Lahore Museum now presents a unique space where embodied visual histories are being reconsidered and re-articulated. Decolonization here involves not just content revision but a rethinking of museums' epistemological foundations. Drawing on scholars such as Susan Crane, Elizabeth Rudiny, and Adam Gatsby, the study shows how museums, once tools of imperial ideology, can be reimagined as spaces of memory, identity, and resistance. The museum is beginning to confront its colonial legacy by revising curatorial choices and embracing indigenous narratives and languages. Two significant interventions illustrate this transformation. The first one would be the language transformation or the language intervention. Lahore Museum is prioritizing Urdu in exhibitions and interpretive texts, displacing English as the dominant curatorial language. This shifts reclaim narrative agency for local communities and challenges colonial hierarchies of knowledge. From gallery labels to the physical inscription of Ajaib Ghar, the use of Urdu marks a symbolic and practical resistance to epistemic gallery labels, practical resistance to epistemic domination, inspired by global linguistic decolonization efforts and thinkers like Mehdi founders. This change reasserts the cultural value of indigenous languages as carriers of identity and historical truth. The second intervention is a transformation of Pakistan Movement Gallery. The gallery once celebrated anti-colonial resistance within a nationalistic frame. Now it is undergoing a deliberate transformation to reflect a post-colonial and decolonial viewpoint. According to the curator, Ms. Ifat, the aim is to shift from portraying passive subjugation to highlighting indigenous agency and cultural sovereignty. This aligns with Frantz Fanon's and Nagugi's arguments that decolonization must involve reclaiming the power of self-narration and construct national identity on one's own terms. Together, these interventions show how the Lahore Museum is moving beyond colonial curatorial frameworks toward a more inclusive, self-determined model of cultural memory, restoring dignity, identity, and agency to history's once silenced. Now the analysis move towards the last part of the research under the title of Decolonizing Lahore Museum, a journey of discourse, revelation, and reshaping cultural narratives. Now, the Lahore Museum has recently intensified its commitment to decolonization through a series of public engagements, including seminars, lectures, and curated exhibitions that foreground indigenous voices and historical perspectives. These initiatives are not only academic in scope but also serve as cultural interventions aimed at reclaiming agency over representation and recentering indigenous narratives in the museum space. As Leopold argued, the first step toward meaningful change lies in the deep and thoughtful discourse which enables the dissemination of crucial knowledge. Since 2023, Lahore Museum has embarked on a transformative journey aimed at breaking free from the clutches of cultural hegemony and colonial influences. The Lahore Museum's recent efforts to decolonize reflects in its curatorial practices and reclaiming of cultural memory. The February 2023 conference, Conversations on Culture and History, brought scholars together to discuss cultural reclamation and the dismantling of Eurocentric narratives in Pakistani institutions. A key intervention, the Stories in Stone exhibition, reinterpreted Gandhara art, challenging colonial misrepresentations and emphasizing indigenous aesthetics and philosophical depth. The museum has also launched educational initiatives like the digital typography course, which revives endangered scripts such as Ufik and Nastali, reinforcing linguistic and cultural sovereignty. Literary parallels, including Echebe's Things Fall Apart, underscore how these efforts resist colonial erasure and restore historical consciousness. In the digital realm, the museum is now modernizing its library through digitization to preserve rare books and support cultural revival. Initiatives like the Object of the Day cabinet engage the public through storytelling on social media, making cultural knowledge accessible and participatory. Together, these actions mark a significant shift toward decolonial praxis, enabling the Lahore Museum to move beyond its colonial legacy and reanimate history through indigenous voices and digital innovations. To conclude my presentation, this research represents a deliberate attempt to link together both the physical and metaphysical dimensions of the Lahore Museum by means of a very careful and close discourse analysis of the museum narratives, termed as the exploration of the non-discursive and discursive realities of the Lahore Museum. The present study detaches itself from all previous researches concerning the museum, which had been mainly focused on the physics of the institution or on the specifics of its artifacts, raising what and when questions. The gap in scholarly research gaps when it comes up against the deprivation of insights on how and why, especially concerning narratives involving or enveloping the Lahore Museum and its artifacts. This research endeavors to fill that void by eliminating just the nuanced dimensions of the museum's discourse. The Lahore Museum bears indelible imprints of colonial influence. There is no doubt about its significance in the historical moment of British control forces domination on the Indian subcontinent, thereby shaping the history, culture, perception within the halls of the Lahore Museum. Framed as a decolonial effort, this research highlights the museum's struggle against colonial structures and dominant narratives. It also argues for epistemic justice by recognizing and validating alternative knowledge systems that have been marginalized. The study contributes to the decolonization of knowledge, enhancing the inclusivity and equity of academic discourse, particularly in museums of Asia, through critical involvement of diverse perspectives. Further, this documentation preserves different galleries, different events that I came across when I was conducting the research about the narratives of the Lahore Museum. I was going there, I was attending these events, I was visiting these galleries, I was conducting interviews of the curators and the visitors that were there, not from only Pakistan, but from South Korea and Netherlands and different parts of the world. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you so much for listening in. If you have any questions, I'm looking forward to answer those questions and engage in meaningful discussions. Um, Glad to be a part of this prestigious conference, and I'm hoping to have a very fruitful conference ahead. Thank you so much for listening, and bye.